Welcome to Inspire Me with Jay, a podcast discussing meditation, the near-death experience, spiritually inspirational and transformative experiences. Welcome to Inspire Me with Jay. I'm your host, author, and teacher, Jay Spillers. I have a guest today. Why don't you introduce yourself?
My name is Charol Messenger. I live in Colorado. Last year, a magazine did an article on me for free. I don't know how that happened. And I was very surprised that they covered my spiritual books, which was a shocker. And they titled it The New Humanity Master Channel. And that is the primary, ever since the awakening, that's been the focus of everything that I've done. It's all about the new humanity. And for my YouTube channel, I call myself Messenger of the Divine.
Mm-hmm. So what created your new awakening? Didn't you have a near-death experience where you saw Christ? Why don't you tell us about that?
I did feel like I was dying. Can I just give you the nutshell of it? Because sure. It's a long story. So I'm going to try to cliff note it for you. I had, that was 1975. And in October, I had met this guy I was dating, and then he disappeared. And so I was focused on that connection for about a month. And then the night well, there's a long story. I'm going to write a book about it. But bottom line is, he called me a month later, and I went down and picked him up out of state. And when I dropped him off a few days later at a bus station downtown, then all of a sudden I was in a different space. When I got home and I was in my bedroom in the dark in Colorado Springs, I was lying on the bed, and all of a sudden everything changed. It was, I had to have been out of body, and it was 6.5 hours overnight, from 8:30 p.m. until the next morning, around 2:30 a.m. All I know, what I can tell you is, I did, for short version, I did face the dark one. There were many visions of that where I went through temptations, a trial of temptations, and offered all kinds of false promises. And I metaphorically turned my back on it and said no. And in that moment, in the instant that I did that, all of a sudden, the bedroom was there were no walls, no ceiling. The room was illuminated with a bright white light. And yet, at the same time, I felt like I was surrounded by the velvet night sky and all the stars around me. And a giant chorus of angels outside the gates of heaven started singing hallelujah. and Archangel Michael spread his giant wings of light over me to protect me from harm. And for the rest of all those hours, I was given new revelations, like watching a movie screen across the night sky, streaming across the night sky. And I saw when I looked at planet Earth from above, I saw the planet below me. And I saw all of the soul lights of every human being on the planet. And it was like a network of stars. We were all connected. We were all lit up and connected. And I could feel and see the oneness of us all. And I was also shown the history, the past, present, and future of humanity. And it was like, in that moment, you just feel connected to everything and at one with everything. And that lasted until the next morning, and then until it ended. And I didn't know until this year, as I am now channeling my master teacher, who we know as Jesus, and he is known as the first archangel, Sananda. He was the first created being out of the I Am, which he talks about a lot in my YouTube channel, starting in 2021. But he told me this year for the first time when I'm always working on one of his books. He is that he was there with me through that awakening, and he's the one who sent me all the visions. I didn't know until now that's what, so I'm always learning something new. It's like there's always a new surprise every year. I don't know what I'm going to get. But he told me 5 years ago, or 6 years ago now, January 2019, that's another wonderful story of how I had a direct encounter with Jesus, if you want to hear it.
Sure.
Now, I had been receiving books from the divine all this time. But I thought it was from my higher self, because after the awakening and studying, and then you spend years of integrating and learning and finding out more, about the process and gaining more information and more knowledge and more wisdom over the decades. But in the middle of January 2019, between two eclipses, I don't remember the dates, but I believe the day I was awakened was January 13th. And I was I love to sleep. And whenever I get books when it started out, they always wake me up in the middle of the night when I start a book. So thank you very much. but that day, 3:30 a.m., a male voice in the bedroom woke me up and said, "I have a book for you to write." I immediately sat straight up in bed in the dark and immediately knew who it was. Somehow, it just knew it by how it felt. And I got up, I went to my meditation room and sank into my deep cushy chair, got a pen and paper, and I just felt this flood of love through me and around me and over me that just, I have never felt anything like it. It was like, if you want to, there is just nothing like it. Absolute perfection, feeling totally blessed. I was so grateful I cried. I just never felt anything like it, and not since. Well, it did the first flush of it was powerful. It did last for 6 months. When I wrote he told me when I started the book that day, and it took 6 months to write the book that he had in mind, which is in his personal voice to you, to everyone who's reading it, just warm and loving and genuine, and writing to anyone and everyone on the planet. This is not about religion. He is writing to every human being on the planet who wants to hear him from an open heart. And I just I was so absorbed in that. It lasted for 24/7, and got to feel that presence, and it was pretty nice. I've had other experiences, but I'm thinking that might be the best one of 3 or 4, because it totally changed my life. In a way, the awakening was cool, and it's in a different. Well, it was very different. What was different about the awakening was I had a purpose for the first time in my life. When I realized the next morning, when I was sitting at my desk, well, I did call my stepmother. at 2 in the morning. And she immediately took me to a doctor. and he gave me tranquilizers, and I took them for 2 or 3 days, and it's like, no. because I just knew, because when I said it, I just knew this was a psychic experience. I'd never had anything like it ever before, but I have a gift. I have a gift of knowing, and thank God. So things like that, never, from that moment and before and after, things like that don't frighten me, because I somehow just know what it is and what it's about, and I can. Well, that's because when I first had that experience with saying no to the dark one, well, there were other things you have to learn when you start integrating, and you have to learn how to discern between the good guys and the bad guys. I'm not as good in the body as I am in spirit. When it comes to spiritual vibration, I can feel the difference, because it's a gut feeling. You just get a gut feeling right here of like, ooh, guys, just stay away. That's not okay. You can tell what's off and what isn't. But yeah, but I will. But Jesus told me that when we first started the book that January, he said, "Oh, by the way, I wrote all your books." It's like, okay, and even though even though I channeled them, another 6.5 month cycle in 1994, they were in my point of view, in my voice. But I still received. Okay, I received the book. Do you want me to tell you how? I received the books through dictation. Sure. I take dictation for the team, and it's like, when you meditate. Well, I learned after that, part of the integration and learning process was learning to, the meditation. Took a few classes, listened to a few tapes. After a while, I learned how to do it myself. And so I have my own routine. But whatever works is what you do. You just, but the key is the breath work, the deep breathing. And I learned that when you are focused on breathing it in, and here is the main, there are two main secrets I've learned in all these decades that were the reason all of this happened, and why I was part of this journey. The most important thing, no matter what a person does in life and how we serve, we are all here to help others in some way, whatever our talents and however we are guided or moved to do that. But the most important thing is an open heart. When we have an open heart and we just want to be helpful and be of service in whatever form that may take, and we don't have to know what that will be. In fact, every step along the way since my awakening, I knew, like I've had 5 or 6 events, I knew that I had to quit this job, quit that job, do this, do that. I knew what I had to do, but I had no idea what I would do for money. But it was after I made that, because I just knew I just have to do this. And so I did. And then after I did that, then it came to me, oh, that's what I do for money. Good idea. Thank you. One was quit a job on a Friday. The next Monday, a lawyer called me, and I had an inheritance of $5,000. And I had already decided to quit the job and do readings, but I didn't know how I would survive. That was my funding. Another time I quit a job, and I loved the job. They were really good to me, but I felt my spirit needed to do more. And I was thirsty. I was hungry to return to my spiritual connection. And on that instance, when I quit that job, now what do I do for money? That drop in, you can get unemployment insurance. That's a good idea. Never would have occurred, never even occurred to me. Make the decision based on what the gut instinct is, trust, take the step. And the next thing is the answer for what's the next step. And that's happened to me all through these 50 years. Every single time I've listened to it, it's shown up. So anyway, where was I? That's the journey. And when I'm finding it, well, and the other key is, aside from the open heart, because I find when we have an open heart and we're willing to be of service, then we also have an open mind, and we're able to receive information and ideas and guidance and motivation and whatever we need to get there. We're able to be open for it to come in. That's the secret. And the other secret is that's really helpful for developing that is the regular, even deep breathing. Just even, and I have a very busy brain, a very busy mind, but I do it anyway. And somehow I just get past it and I just go there. And so all I know is it really does work. So those are the two most important things for any of us to know, for that, whatever that next step is, whatever that next piece is.
You're listening to the Inspire Me with Jay podcast. Please do like and subscribe to the channel, bringing hope and inspiration to the world.
Well, so like when you were talking about going in a meditative state and then the spirit or God dictating something to you, do you think that's kind of like maybe how some of the Bible was written, that they'd go in a meditative state and then that'll be,
Yeah, it's a divine connection. That's why I call it from the, in fact, the new book, even though I channeled it and it's in Jesus' point of view, he said, he trusts me I'm the team editor. Also, I'm also very good as an editor, and they also told that was another thing that happened. But so I changed the point of view to my point of view, so it's more down to earth and it's more relatable to the average person. But it is from the divine, and I call it from the divine because that's more approachable, because it's not about religion. And I have a couple of books with Jesus' name on them, but they are written to everyone. But yeah. Another important, well, as far as the dictation, so I go through this routine, the deep breathing, this little routine I go. And when I first started, it can take an hour when you're first learning how to find the connection. And the longer you do it, it gets faster over time. I can do it now in 10 minutes, but if I miss a day of meditation, it can take 20 or 30. So it's like if I don't meditate every day, it takes longer to get into the zone. Basically, it's the zone that people think of. That's what it is. But I do this routine, and then once I reach the end of it, then something kind of clicks. Because I hear we're gonna do this or that today. If I'm gonna start a new, Jesus wants to write a lot of books, which is why he's told me I'll live to 103. I'm going, okay, thank you very much. But maybe it will take that, because I have that many more books that I already know I have to write. And that doesn't count any new ones he might throw my way, because it's a lot. Well, actually, writing them is the easy part. It's like, in fact, some of them are so flawless. Some of them have been, I can think of two at this moment. Some of them are so flawless that their first draft is done. I'm at a comma, I might add some spacing or whatever, but the text, no changes in the text at all. And then, but others, if I've been away for a while, I haven't done it for a while, it takes longer, then I have to do some work on it. But, yes, it is. I think of it as dictation. It's because I'm hearing the still small voice within. And I'm hearing at the beginning, it was one word at a time. On average now, it's one phrase at a time. And I do the first draft by hand, and I'm writing it down by hand as I hear it. I'm also paragraphing and punctuating as I go, since I know how to do that, and that's one of my gifts. But it's the still small voice within. One of the books that I received, I titled The Soul Path. It has a very long chapter. It's about 30 pages. It's probably the longest chapter in all of the books on the inner voice, what it is, how to understand it, how to get there, how do you know when you're going to the next level or not. Generally, we start with the higher self. And then the more we devote ourselves to the path or whatever service we're doing, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be anything at all. It's more of an attitude than anything else and a way of life. Then we're able to do more. And I started out, for example, when I was first doing books, it was hearing it, sitting up in bed, repeating what I was hearing into a cassette tape recorder, then having to transcribe it. It was a very long process. What was interesting about the chapter on the inner voice, I had channeled the entire thing, and there was a bad tape, and it didn't come out. And so I sat down and rechanneled it. And it was twice as long. but the same information was there, only it elaborated more since I was going through it again. It's almost like, once I've heard it, it's almost like it's a record that I'm listening to. It almost feels like I already did this. I can't help but wonder if everything that happened in 1975, when I received all the new revelations, if that was all programmed. And then, as I'm receiving it as a book, because it's almost like it's already there. Because when I do have to do the material over, it's still there. And it's kind of unusual, kind of weird. Did that answer the question?
It's just sort of like pulling out the file. Yeah, it's just sort of like pulling out a file. That's
what it feels like. It feels like like I've had so many dreams where I was trying to cassette record in the dream. Dream school, it's been a long time since I was in dream school. But I had so many dreams where I was trying to record it. And darn it, did not come back. It's like I couldn't bring that with me. But it's in here somewhere. I think that's what happened. And I think that's why I still have a healthy brain. I had an MRI last year because of this sinus thing I'm dealing with, and no dementia. And I'm going, good. Yes, no drugs, no alcohol, no smoking probably helped. But at the same time, I can't help but wonder, because I know I have a very strong right brain, highly developed right brain, just from what happens and what's happened I have so many stories. So much has happened. And I have a good left brain because I'm pragmatic and I'm organized by nature. And so it's a good blend. But yeah, I kind of wonder if it's all in here somewhere. And when I send it, yes, I'm hearing it, but I'm hearing it through my brain. So like the brain is a physical instrument the mind envelops the whole body. The mind is not the brain. The mind is a large thing that surrounds us, almost like an etheric body, but it's part of our greater self. The mind is around us. And so we can tap into the mind, and that's how we can also elevate the mind into higher evolution, higher levels of consciousness, because it's not just physical. I'm getting chills now as I say that.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I was wondering about, like when you said you saw the entire history of the world, like I've seen NDEs where they say I saw the whole creation, and then they never tell you what they saw. Like when the world was created, and when people came to be, what exactly did you see? I mean, was there any
Well,
like
I don't
surprises
remember
there?
those details, but that's what's coming in books. I can tell you
Mm-hmm.
related to that. Some of the material I have already, nutshell, 6.5 years after the awakening in 75, that was I know now that was a number of things. I know now that was an oversoul merge. It was also a spontaneous Kundalini awakening that I wasn't expecting any of it. Now, I have been reading books for 6 years, and I thought, and I had read Jane Roberts, for example, and I was thinking that'd be cool. When you wish for it, you might get it, because I got it. I got the gift that I thought would be nice to have. But I also know because immediately after the awakening, when I was sitting at my desk, the next day, probably after the doctor, I was sitting at a desk and knowing that this was that I had all of the psychic abilities had triggered during this experience, everything, and it was overwhelming. And so I was given permission, and I also knew that I had chosen this experience, and that I could have stopped it at any point and walked away, and I had chosen not to because I was curious. I didn't have to go through the whole thing. But the gifts that I took and accepted in that moment were the inner hearing. And now I forget what the other one was. It may have been knowing. I'm not sure, because I have the gift of knowing right away, immediate. I mean, it stayed with me. The other gifts, clairvoyance, realizing I was having visions, doing clairvoyant readings and getting metaphors and seeing pictures, realizing, is that what that is? That's clairvoyant. I had no idea that's what it was. So going through all these experiences and not knowing what it was until it's like just doing it and taking it is like, well, this is what happens. But it all comes now. I forget where I was with you. But it's all a part of the journey. But what I was going to say is, so went through this learning curve for about 6.5 years, where I was attending some groups and learning through some groups and stuff like that, and doing it and integrating more deeply. And 6.5 years later, on March 5, 1982, which was right in the middle, which was the day of a 7-planet alignment by accident, I'm sure by chance. 5 days before through 5 days after, I was seeing through the eyes of my higher self on the planet. I felt invincible. I felt like I could do anything. It was incredible. 11 days of like, wow. And it didn't come down until I watched the wrong movie on TV, or I watched Poltergeist or something, and that blew it. That took me right out of that zone. But that was the completion of the integration of that merging that I had, that merge that had activated and started. It took that long. 2 months later, in May, I was wakened in the middle of the night, probably 3 a.m., by a voice saying, "You agreed to write these books for us." This was in 1982. And I sat straight up in bed, wide awake, and it was an angel. And apparently one of the angels on my soul council. And I had agreed out of body in the soul to write these books and signed a contract. Cool. Okay, sure. It was exciting, interesting. Who wouldn't? And that was the day I began writing the first of 6 books on angels, how they help and work with humanity, how we're connected. And I'm going to get back to how did humanity begin. And the new humanity, the soul path, and there was something else. There were like 5 topics. Well, I worked, because I was not yet proficient as a channel or an editor, and I was still integrating and learning the curve. I must be a slow learner is all I can figure. So 12 years later, it was like I was just trying to make sense of it all or learn it. And so I was integrating it, I edited it, and that honed my editing skills, but it also integrated all the content. 12 years later, in 1994, I had a spontaneous experience. That was one of the jobs, the job I quit, where I got unemployment for 6 months, wrote 6 books in 6 months. I was doing 2-hour, and it started with I quit the job. I did 2-hour, never in my life. For 7 weeks, I did 2-hour meditations. And then something shifted. And all of a sudden, I was getting all these new books. One of them leads into your question. And I'm going to get back to, so I still have to redo it. Okay, so I have, now after channeling it, I have a memory of, I channel in writing and in video, stationary setting, about the origin, the beginning of before physical, from the I am to angels to human beings to physical worlds and cosmos. So I'm a metaphysician. And so I get all of that information, and what came, the very first thing that I did that May was I called the memory, because it was verbatim of, but now I have more information. So the nutshell is, out of the one consciousness, the I am consciousness, it's like the one, it's like, it's the mind. It has many names. In all of the books that I channel, we have many names for it. We don't call it God very often, except it's God as we think of it, but it's called the mind, it's called the one, it's called the one consciousness. It has many names. The first created being was an archangel, and that's another story. But the first, and there are 7 angel clans, I believe. There could be more, but the first angel clan, which is tens of thousands of archangels. I've been channeling material from the first 7 archangels, and Jesus is the first one. The reason Jesus had all the knowledge and wisdom and the oneness and everything was because the first archangel sent his energy, his consciousness, his mind, and everything he knew about the I am into the fetus of Jesus before he was born, because that was kind of what was decided. Long story. But the memory was out of some of the other clans of angels. I forget which ones. I write them down. Some angels, the angels created the physical worlds and the physical dimensions. That was one of the things. I forget which clan did that. It may have been the first clan, but I don't recall exactly. But the angels created the physical reality, and it was so beautiful Some of them were mesmerized by it, were curious and wanted to come try it out and see what it was all about. And because it was just, you can imagine heaven. And so some of the angels came down to a physical world. And the first physical world with human beings was in the Pleiades, not on Earth, not this Earth. It was in the Pleiades. And the planet was Perona. And that planet is no longer there because among many other things that in the story called The Memory, I have a vision, a memory of being a spaceship leaving the planet before it exploded. So they blew it up because people will be people. So that's why we're still learning the lessons. But people did leave in spaceships, and a lot of people left, and they moved on to Orion and Sirius star systems and other star systems. And then they came here. And that's why, like native tribes see the Pleiades, and they're like, home. But there are also native or aborigines who relate to the Sirius star system or the Andromeda's and other star systems. But Earth is recent. This Earth is recent, and what I recently channeled. Let's see if I can recall. On this Earth. We began here as Homo sapiens. We started as Homo sapiens in this world. And then we continue to evolve. And, nutshell, the reason for the books on the new humanity is because the reason for the awakening that I went through and everything that I've been given to do since 1975 is we are now, and we have crossed the threshold. And during all these years, these last 50 years, it's all been in the past, but now we're in the present. We have entered a new phase of evolution as of now. Not only spiritual, but also physical. And it just began. So that's the reason for the books on the new humanity. It's not just about, well, it's no longer, it's in the present, it's not the future. It has begun. And the transition, we crossed the threshold September 22, 2011. So we're brand new into this new era, which lasts 26,500 years. So we have a long way to go. But at the same time, religion, spirituality, life on earth, it's all the same. It's all in how we live it. Jesus wrote a second book, Your Awakening Attitude of Service is what we titled it. It's in his personal voice. It's a warm, short book for people who are trying to find their way or trying to wonder, what's their next step. And it's all about attitude. When we have an attitude to live right, do the right thing, the best that we are able to every day as human beings, but we make the effort every day and that's our intention, then that is what opens other doors. It makes that, that's basically, it opens our memory of why we're here. It activates our purpose and our connection to what our purpose is, because we all have a purpose.
Have you ever wondered whether the Bible was compatible with the near-death experience? In my book, Heaven's Truth, The Parallels Between the Bible and the Near-Death Experience, your faith will be strengthened while you support this channel. In Heaven's Truth, you will learn about near-death experiences and other similar experiences in the Bible. Support for the Bible contained in NDEs, a central theme that runs through both the Bible and NDEs, how the NDE brings the Bible to life for these modern times, evidence for both the Bible and the NDE, and much more. Great book. Spillers does an excellent job weaving the relationship between NDEs and the Scriptures. 5 stars on Amazon. Available on Amazon.
Well, that book's going to be elaborated on, which means it'll be a full book, and it'll probably be called The First Eden, is my guess, based on what I have right now. And I've also got I've got 3 books on angels, one finished, one I'm going to add to, and another one is half done. So there's a book on the divine code within us, and I mean the cosmos, but yeah, bottom line is, yes, we are still learning, but despite everything that's going on, and we each have to do our part and be aware and be active, we have crossed a threshold as a human species. And that happened. And the thing is, it's up to every single individual. Each individual who becomes aware of self-involvement and all of that is what contributes to that. So each one of us doing our own thing is what matters. But as a whole, though, we have crossed the threshold.
Well, like I know Howard Storm had an NDE, and he said that Christ told him that he had visited many other planets, and some of the beings look essentially like human beings, are very similar. Some of them look quite different, but there's essentially many worlds out in this universe and other universes.
Yes.
And Christ has visited many of them.
I'm getting chills as you say that. Yes. Chills of recognition. Yeah. In fact, in Jesus' book, the one he took the one I wrote in his personal voice, The Bringers of Hope, he talks about the travelers. They call them the travelers in there, because there are travelers already on the planet, of course, been here a long time, of course, and as well as those still coming, probably. I don't know all of the details. I love and enjoy what I receive. And I have a lot of recognition about all of it. Yeah. But yeah, we're not alone in the universe. No, of course not. That would be kind of a shame, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, are there planets that are like virtually identical to Earth? It's like they have the same composition and makeup.
They do. In fact, I'm channeling this. I'm not going by the news, but there are 12 within reach. Wormholes are a good way to travel. I've gotten a lot of stuff about that, or what do they call it? There's a way to travel that's not physical, or that's not using the law of physics we now know, where you get there like that instead of like slow motion. But yes, there are other Earth-like planets that are very similar to this, and I'm getting 12. There could be more, but I would say at least 12 then. Just like recently, I'm always learning something new through the channeling. I used to think there were 7 levels of consciousness here, but there are 11. 11 levels of consciousness while we're in the physical body, depending on our level of growth spiritually, connection, that kind of thing. There could be more, I don't know. And those are all dimensions. Oh, and this transition that we're going through, the new humanity, this transformation that we have shifted into, those of us alive today are straddling the 3rd dimension and the 4th dimension, physical. 4th dimension is a physical reality, but with a higher vibration. And so that's how, how sometimes time seems to be faster, or sometimes time feels slower. That's got to do with dimensional shifts. that we might be in or going through. There are times when anyway, there's a lot. I have a lot of stuff on that about, dimensions and all of that stuff. I've covered all of it, and there's more to come.
But like some people talk about 7 levels of heaven, and obviously there could be thousands of realms in each level or millions of realms in each level. But like maybe some of the lower levels of heaven might look very similar to Earth, maybe just a bit more perfected, a little bit better.
A couple of things that reminds me of. First of all, have you read the book called The Life and Teaching of the Masters, the book series?
Oh, no, I haven't heard that.
Oh my God. Well, it's really amazing. It's a true story. And late 1800s, a scientific expedition went to the Himalayas through India. And it was and they documented their experiences. And the main 3 books, there are some additional books, but the main 3 books are that experience. It's the life and teaching of the masters of the Far East. They met Jesus in person and the Buddha in person. And what that tells me is it's all about vibration. And vibration is dimensions. Changes in frequency are dimensions. So we've got this physical world and how we experience it. For example, I read something like recently that I channeled was the 3rd dimension is like being stuck is the hate, the cruelty, the greed, the narrow-mindedness, all of that. That's the old stuff that is falling away. How long that takes, we learn slowly as a species, but individually, we can learn right now. The 4th dimension, physical reality, is kindness, thoughtfulness, all of that. That's the 4th dimension vibration. But so basically, it's like Jesus and the Buddha visiting these people as real people. That's a frequency level. And of course, yeah, okay. There's another book, Levels of Life. It's like, oh my God, it goes into all the different levels that we evolve through beyond the physical world. And that's another book it's a short thing, so I will be developing it. So I do have another 20 plus years to go to get it all done. But because I don't like, well, anyway. But yes, heaven is vibration. 2 things. The glue of the cosmos, the glue of life, the glue of everything, the universe, the glue that holds everything together is love. Mm-hmm. It's a vibration. It's a frequency. And it might be the same as, I'm not sure yet, of what we think of as energy, but energy is also the glue that holds everything together. So somehow, maybe they're the same thing. I'm not sure yet. When my father passed, and I was not close to him at all in the physical, but while in the body and after, it was very strange. It was not good in the physical at all. But in spirit, in dreams, he was my cohort, my ally. He helped me cross the bridge, that kind of thing. It was very interesting. And after he died, he was very happy to show me his place in heaven, which looked like the 50s. A nice, simple little life, you know. So it's like heaven is what, I guess, what makes you happy, maybe. I don't know.
So, like, if Jesus is an archangel, is Buddha or Krishna archangels too then?
Yes, I do know Buddha is one of the first 7. I don't remember which one, but he is one of the first 7 archangels. And also Mary. She's also one of the first 7, because that I remember. I can't remember who the other ones. I don't remember if I've attached names to them yet or not, because one of the books that I've been sent information on, as we're at a book that I received in 1982, and now at some point will develop to twice its size, will now be called the Angels of Serendipity, because that's the name they give it. We give the first angel clan is the Angels of Serendipity. They're the ones who watch over the Akashic records. They have a lot to they have a lot to do with almost everything. And the other angel clans may have more tangible tasks. I don't recall. I don't have all of it yet, but it was all outlined in that book, which I haven't read in a really long time. And now we'll be elaborating and developing on all of that. But yes, the angels are very busy. Oh, you probably already know this. The reason Jesus wrote this book, The Bringers of Hope, is the main reason, he said, because he wanted to make sure, and I put it at the front of the book. He says, I am returned. Because people are expecting him to come down in a cloud or in a spaceship. He's already here. Physically. Now, not reborn as a human being, as an ascended being. He's still ascended. And ascended means can be anywhere, everywhere kind of thing. Also, a large volume in that book. Did I lose you? What happened? What did I do? I messed up.
No, I'm here. Can you see me?
Hang on.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Touched my mouse. It's called the Saint, the Return of All the Saints. And what he's been repeating ever since then, since 2019, in every new book, in every new addition to an existing book, and I call it's a new addition. In every new thing since then, he's talking about this and repeating it everywhere. And he's saying, because, first of all, he's writing through me, at least, as a representative, because I have a certain mindset and I'm able to look at things cosmic and metaphysical, as well as the planet. And I see the planet and the globe as a whole, and humanity as a whole. And also nationally, I also get it nationally. But where was I? First of all of the ascended beings, masters, world teachers, saints, yada, yada, are all a part of what they call the Council of Light, aka used to be called the spiritual hierarchy. It's the Council of Light. And they democratically elected him to be the voice, to represent them in writing and in speaking and in audio and in video and all of that, because they are all of the same mind. It is not about any religion. They are all writing. They're writing to people of all faiths, or people who have none. All women, men, children of all faiths, all cultures, all races, yada, yada. They're writing to every single soul. And they also are all spiritually embodied on planet Earth with us through what we are going through right now. We are in the times that have been called. We're in the times that have been prophesied for the last 2,000, 3,000 plus years. However long people have been making the prophecies about this time, 4,000 years, Moses, whoever. For as long as they've been making prophecies, this is the time they were prophesying about. We are living in it in this moment. That's why this is a transformation of humanity, because we are beginning to grow. We are growing. We are coming into our next phase, which is a good thing. Thank God. It's like, but we're coming into our next phase because, and that's why they are here. They look physical. They look like they did when they were physical in the body, when they were here in the body, but they're spiritually embodied, and they are here, and also many angels, not incarnated, not reborn, and also many angels. I don't know how many, but not physical, but also embodied to look physical, are here among us all over the world in every single land, as guides, counselors, and teachers to help emit their presence, to give us strength and courage and inspiration and motivation, all that stuff that we need to have new thoughts and make new decisions. That was a big part of the book that he sent and repeats to me all the time, which I'd never even heard of before. Never. Okay, the thing that I love about the things that I channel in these books and all, none of it did I ever even think about before. Never crossed my mind. None of it did I ever read anywhere before. It was just like, wow, I am so blown away. And it's like, thank you. I get to hear it first. I get to read it first. It's like, I just feel so honored and so blessed and so grateful. And that is, and ever since that day in January 13th, and I told him then, I'll do anything you ask me to do. I'll go anywhere you tell me to go. It was like, I would never do that for a human being. But I just feel so close to him. When I'm talking about him, I feel his presence feels stronger to me. So it's really fun to be able to share it because it activates the connection, the vibration. And so it's nice. Not quite the same, but if I cry, then you'll know I've really touched in. Okay. Some things, if I cry, then I've really touched it. Okay. Because that's what I've noticed is, that's a clue. But,
Have you ever wanted to learn to meditate? Check out my book, Meditation for Everyone: How to Quickly Have a More Peaceful, Mindful, and Fulfilled Life, and support this channel. With Meditation for Everyone, you will learn to quickly and easily meditate, relieve stress and anxiety, alleviate depression, and have more joy, peace, and relaxation. What you will learn: mindfulness, the art of stillness, step by step on how to meditate, strategies for overcoming challenges to meditation, and much more. D. Mason said this is a nice meditation book, even for those already meditating. I agree with the statements that it will help to have a more peaceful, mindful, and fulfilled life. 4.6 star rating, available on Amazon.
They are, and they are not the only divine beings. Okay. 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years, I connected with, for the first time with the Divine Council, who are ascended masters of the cosmos. all other worlds, not this one. All of the other worlds in this universe, or the cosmos, or whatever we think about it, they're called the Divine Council, and they're similar. And I was more comfortable. I did a few through them, and I did a few videos through them. And I was more comfortable with Jesus doing the channeling, or the archangels that I'm familiar with channeling, and not because they have a very different vibration, and they were more business-like, and I kind of like the warm fuzzy feeling myself, and that's what I get from the ones that from Jesus and the ones that I've worked with. But yes. The other worlds, they also have their own thing, and they all kind of and so our council is part of their council.
Yeah. So is Jesus one of the seven, or is he one and then there's seven under him?
The archangels? He's number one.
Yeah.
Well, I can get the short version of it, and there are about 5 videos that started in late 2024 that Jesus did on how he came to be on my YouTube channel. And the short version of it is, and it's a great story. He says, okay, the story is there were 50 archangels who got together. What are we going to do about these human beings down there on this earth? And all that was going on. And so the archangels did the archangels did it all. They're the ones who started everything. Okay. So, because they are the manifestation of the divine. But the first archangel, whose name is Sananda, and is the first created being, so is the nearest to the I am, and all that is. It's a breadth and dimension of awareness that we can't contemplate. But so these 50 archangels got together, and they decided. They all turned and looked at Sananda. It's like. So what? So it's like, well, so they chose him, and so what he did was he did not incarnate, but he sent his vibration, his energy, his knowing, the consciousness, everything that he had embodied from the I am. He sent that into the fetus of Jesus right before he was born. And that's how Jesus retained that vibration and had all that knowing and that connection, and managed to hang on to it regardless of what happened to him as a physical person. But basically, so now in the books that I do, we call him Jesus Sananda, because he's both. He is Jesus whom we know of. Also in that book, and all of the new materials, new stories before unpublished, previously unpublished new stories about Jesus' life that he gives. It's like he did this and he did that, what he thought about things and what it was like. Yeah, he writes stories about his life as Jesus that he throws in, so it's a little bit of everything. But yeah, did I answer your question?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, and Jesus made earlier appearances or incarnations on Earth before coming as Jesus, right? Because like people talk about Melchizedek and some of the other presences,
was in the lineage,
maybe even in the Bible.
Was not Jesus. No, it's not the same thing. Yeah. That's a lineage, and I've been told that I'm in the Melchizedek lineage, spiritually. The reason I was given that a long time ago. I don't remember the details. So I'm part of the lineage, from the soul, the soul lineage, not as a human being. Jesus, those were high souls, but they weren't the same. They weren't the same thing. They were probably archangels. I don't really know though. I couldn't say for sure.
Well, like one time, this person told me, and she was talking to me on the phone and she was kind of like New Age, and she said, "You're one of the divine ones," and she never explained what that meant.
One of the top, one of the thousand.
Like,
well, many of us who are aware in this lifetime are from that first angel clan. Mm-hmm. I know I am. And I've met a few people who are sisters. If there's a soul connection, just feel a soul connection with that person. And I'm getting chills. The crown, the top of my head is tingling. I've met many people that I know are from my angel clan, and I know I'm from the first angel clan because I learn more every year. I learn more. Jesus tells me a bit more. I know him very well. I know I was very close to him, and as an angel, and he just, maybe that's why he trusts me. I don't know what it is. I'm just grateful, but because it's the one part of my life that works the best. I know it. I know how to do this really, really well. It's the thing I know how to do best. And but yeah, I would say one of the first 1,000. So you would be, and I know there are tens of, I'm pretty sure there are tens of thousands of archangels, and they all, well, some of those who incarnated in the Pleiades, I was one of two, me and my soulmate. We used to be separate. My not my soulmate, my twin soul. My twin soul and I used to be two angels, and we were two of those. We were among those who went down afterwards to try to rescue those who got stuck and couldn't remember how to get back. And many did get back. Many did remember, but not everybody. And this body, or this physical person, or whoever this is, was one of those who got stuck and has gone through all these lifetimes, and it's like, yeah, well, we're done with that, right? Because it's a very long trip, but so many some archangels, some of us are here because of that. And that may be what, I don't know, that's maybe what happened to you, because it happens, because I believe, I'm not 100%, but I think it was archangels, because they're the ones I think they're the ones who created the worlds. I think it was archangels, if I remember my channeling correctly. And they were the ones who went down and to see what's this all about, and it was so exciting, and got caught up, in all the stuff. And so the memory, the reason it's the memory is because, and the reason we are now on a new path as a human species and elevating it to starting a new level of human evolution, is because it's all about remembering who we were, what we can be here and now. Well, okay, it's about being who we really are while we're here in this life, because we can't just check out. We can't just leave it. You can't just get away from that. We have a responsibility to remember. Plus, it feels really good. So what happens? Here's what I know. Despite screw ups, and it's like I had two major screw-ups in the last year. What did... And yet, it was like, okay, that was a human flaw. That was definitely blinders in that particular area. We'll never do that again. But I also, having lived with this for so long, this divine energy that continues to come through me, continues. Jesus would love it if I would do it every single day. But he's also understands, and he's patient with letting things just be, and letting it flow with the physical being. Okay. Because he knows I'm committed and I'm determined. And sometimes having to deal with the changes in the body. But it's just, but what this does for me, that knowing all of this, the best part of it as a human being, it's like, oh, okay, I'm not going to stay there. And it's like, okay, so I made a big mistake. Look at everything else I've done. I'm doing a lot of good in my own way, in my own unique way. And however it reaches, I have no idea, because that hasn't happened despite my efforts. It's like, it is out of my hands. I've tried. And nothing has, I have not broken a glass ceiling. Nothing has, it's like, I've tried, I did a lot, I tried a lot, and nothing made any difference. So it's like, well, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and let it just be, because that's why I'm here. And my legacy is all the material I'm leaving behind for whoever needs it. And that's why I'm on the planet. So, but I no longer, I can let go. The best part about all of this learning, integrating, bringing it in, feeling the energy, feeling the vibration, it's easier to let go when you screw up, when you make a mistake, when things go, if that went really wrong, it's easier to let it go and just be in what feels totally right. And that's this moment.
So, like, when Jesus died on the cross, did you ever get like a message of why that occurred? What was the purpose and significance of that?
I'm hearing from him now. I let it be. He's saying, I let it be. That's definitely not an average person. But that was why, let's see. I was there. You were there. I didn't know that before this moment. He was saying all of my beloveds were there. And he drew energy from us to help him do this, because that was his job. We were there to help him in that time. That was why we were there. It was his job. That was what he said. This is what needed to happen for people to remember. So no one could ever say it never happened. And we were there. All of my beloveds were there with me. And you were among them. Because you gave me strength. And you helped me endure until I said goodbye. So, like I said, when I cry, it's because it's truth. That's when I cry. Because I didn't know this before. It's new, something brand new in this moment. But that was why. And then, and now he's just his light presence. I see him. I see his aura as a multicolored and golden and very bright. Anyway, you better talk.
Yeah. It was kind of sort of an expression and connection and love, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Which is why the two others that were on the crosses with him, I think they were able to benefit from that, you know? And all who were there, even the soldiers, even those who hurt him and harmed him, they also felt it. It changed every soul in that moment. No one was ever the same again. That was a soul shift for every person who was there and who was around him at that time. It was a soul shift for every one of us in our evolution as spiritual beings. It's just like
So
with
it's kind
each.
of like.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, I was just going to say that sometimes even being in a love connection like that, it doesn't always have to be something that's pleasant or, you know, a fun experience. It could be something that's quite painful, literally and emotionally.
If you're lucky, I never had that. I was never able to experience that in this lifetime except from pets. And it's not quite the same. This is the best one yet. Oh, he also said in the book and in everything and everything he's written since then, call him brother. Call me brother. I walk beside you. You are my equal. I am your equal. I am not better than you. He sees us as his equals. He's merely been on the path longer than us. But he understands, having been in the physical, gives him at least the perception, the ability to see what we are going through because he was in the physical body. So it's probably different for him and possibly Mary and the Buddha as well. Because if you've been in the body, even if it's archangel infused, but if you experience the physical body, then you can, it's probably easier to have empathy for what we go through, which is the reason he's so damn patient. He's extremely patient with me. And I am just like, oh my God. Because I could do 2 books a year. Now it's like, can we do 1 a year? Because I didn't like videos. I did a video 2 days ago, the first one in 7 months. But it was really important to do it. And it felt really good to be back. So I'm back now. So I'll be doing more, but on my YouTube channel. But Jesus channels, almost all of them, very few are from Archangel Raphael for some reason. So must have a connection with Archangel Raphael. I don't know why. He's one of the 7. Archangel Uriel. I don't know. Yeah, those are the only 3 I remember. I remember from the writing it all down with names attached. But that will all be processed when I get that Angels of Serendipity book done at some point in the future. While I'm still on the planet, it's just a good thing I can still channel. Oh God! I just published a new book yesterday that he sent to me. Before I do that, I want to mention the book, Your Awakening Attitude of Service, which he and I titled together. Interesting story about that book. It was just published in 2020 in his personal voice after and it came after the other one, Bringers of Hope, a second edition with a new volume at the front. I've lost my train of thought. Okay, Awakening Attitude. Okay. I didn't know until December 1989 when I was going through this manuscript that I had been traveling around apartment to apartment to apartment to apartment for 30 years, carrying the paper manuscript with me everywhere, that it was written by Jesus. I had totally forgotten. I had blocked it out because one of the things he probably likes about me, I'm guessing, is I don't worship anybody. I don't worship gurus. I admire and respect, and but I did not recall that at all. And I think it's because I could not allow myself to believe it, because that would be too hubris of me to say I was channeling Jesus in 1989 when I was just beginning. And so when I did the book and when I picked it up again, and so see, it was and it was the day after, and I cried, of course, when I read it, because I had never realized that before. The next day we started working on the book, and bring it up, and I and that was the book published in 2020. It took me 4 months to do 4 revisions on it because it was not flawless in 1989, like this book was flawless. The New Humanity was flawless. In 1994, verbatim, it was flawless. Oh, come back to the new book. But first of all, the 6 books that I did in 2019, in 1994, 6 months, exact same, identical same topics as I had received in 1982, but was not yet ready to put out. So instead, channeled totally new books, same topics, and all flawless but one. And it needed some tweaking over a couple of years. It needed some tweaking. But, okay, so that was like decade to decade. One of the reasons I gave up doubting it a long time ago, certainly after 2019 with Jesus, but decade to decade to decade, continuing to get the same information repeatedly every decade, new words, new material, same information, unexpected, just comes by itself spontaneously. And it's like, thank you, validation. Plus, I'm always getting validation after the fact. After I've channeled it, I'm getting outside validation. So it's like, oh my God. So yeah, just accept. It is what it is. The new book, I had a harder time with it because it took me, I started writing it October 2023. And then, and I was having a health issue. And so finally, I published an issue, revised it twice. This is the latest of 3 versions. Gave it a new title and published the next day, the first 2. And because this material that I received last year is visionaries versus fascists and hot oceans. It's 95% spiritual, and it's written to, for, and about the exceptional new youth born within the first generation of this 21st century. And they are the new leaders of the world in whatever areas we need new leaders. And most of them, I mean, the book does narrow it to born 2001 to 2011, but I figure anyone who's reading the book by 2025 can include themselves. But it's written because they are exceptional visionaries, more than anyone ever born before. They're a whole new breed. And so the book is for them. Then there's this section that the reason I had trouble with it and was too slow to realize, oh, you mean now, was the stuff on fascists. And I had a really hard time being objective about that, but it's in the book as I received it. And it was a dire warning is what it was. And it wasn't until November 4th that I started to freak out and realize, oh, is that what you mean? Is that what you meant? So anyway, that's in the book, but it's 5%. But there's also a second warning, and this is from the Divine Mind. There was also a second warning about hot oceans. And that meant even though there has been some progress, there is an urgent need right now in this decade to reverse the warming of the upper atmosphere, which is warming the oceans, which is affecting ocean life, which is and will affect oxygen. And originally I put down 2029. And he said, nah, 2030 is good. We have 5 years to really, and the reason is to do more. He said, what we've done is good, but to do more, because it will still take generations to repair the damage. But we need to stop it and turn it around and reverse it now for our well-being. The earth will be fine. That's for us, for human beings. That's why we need to do it. So those were 2 warnings that were in the book that I received in the last year and a half. And it's like, okay. So the new book, I just published it. And this one feels good. I rearranged it, put visionaries on top, at the front loaded it with all the spiritual stuff, because it really is, that's the bulk of the book. To these brilliant young men and women all over the world, in every culture. It's for them, and it's about them, and it's about them, and it's who they are. And so we recognize them and not take them for granted, because they have the answers. They have we just need new innovative thinking, new strategies, new solutions, and they're the ones who have that. And so we just need to trust them and believe them and follow their lead. And we can we can see who some of them are right now. And as an aside, there is a series of books that's the sequel to The New Humanity, The New Humans. And it discusses 4 waves of completely brand new, never before, new visionaries. The first wave was 1947. The forerunners. The second wave was the mid-70s. And the third wave is this new generation. The fourth wave is 2047. And then there will be another 4 waves next century after that, or whenever. But the reason I mention that is because the second wave, mid-70s, are also instrumental. Between them and the third wave, if they could work together, they are the ones who are the problem solvers and the people we need to be looking at right now.
Yes, well, my son was born in 2014. He might be part of the
He's
third
close
wave.
enough. So it all depends on attitude, waking up, remembering, activating that connection. And if he's astute and leaning toward the bigger picture, leaning toward solution-oriented, problem-solving, it doesn't matter what industry he might be. This is for any industry, whatever, where someone might be of service. I mean, science could use them. Science in a big way is, as a world, we need a lot of help is in science for the planet. I mean, in every aspect of our life is tied to science. So, but any avenue at all, medicine, it doesn't matter what a person does as long as if they know who they are and they follow that. So just let him follow his druther, let him follow his inclination, and just inspire and motivate and see where it takes him. He certainly could be. That's close enough to I would say that's close enough. I wouldn't worry about it. Yeah. I have had some confirmations of some of this information. I remember, for example, channeling that the young, especially those that were born starting 2001, that's right. This is in detail in the New Humans, great detail, but there is a new there's a DNA that was dormant that is now activated in those born since 2001. So that's part of this whole new evolution thing. It's an activated DNA strand or something. Part of that. I don't know. I can't say the words in writing are precise. I'm recalling the variables, but there is an activated DNA since 2001, which is part of where all of these enhanced telepathy, enhanced perception abilities. I'll have some of this in the new book. Actually, is in the new book. That's why I'm remembering it. There are a lot of new abilities and new skills that just come natural to them. They're just, and I was remembering that around 2014, or about 10 years, well, maybe 10 years ago, a reading I had done for this woman. She had a child who had been to a doctor, and the doctor had noticed that he had an enlarged occipital lobe, which is one of the signs of an increased brain activity. I don't know. I don't remember what the occipital lobe does or where it is, but she said that her doctor had told her that about her child. And she had verified that because I had channeled it to her and her doctor had told her that. So there's, it's all very interesting. And what it really comes down to, as interesting as it is we have to live in the here and now and just do the best we can ourselves each human day. And for my way of helping is through books, the videos, which I'll get back to, and some social media, on social media, not just Facebook, but Blue Sky. And that's my best way of helping at this point in time. So everybody has their own thing. What I thought a podcast would be cool, but I can go like crazy in a podcast where I'm interacting with someone, but I can't just sit and talk nonstop by myself. So just doing a thing by myself, it's like I couldn't figure out how to do that. But I love interacting because there's an exchange of information and ideas. which is fun.
Mm-hmm. So, like, what would you tell somebody, like who is maybe searching, for like what direction to go? How do I listen for the divine? Where do I start?
The first thing comes to me is for someone who feels some kind of a nudging or a stir, or feeling unsettled, possibly confused, usually youth, but it could be through middle age. It could be some people are always there. Some people never get it. So it could be at any age. They can be as a child. I've channeled that children as young as 3 years old can tap in or tapped into this. So it could be at any age. What comes to me when you say that is, go for walks in nature, go hiking by yourself. Don't go with someone else where you have distractions. And possibly don't even take your dog, but maybe. It might be nice to go with a dog, but it just feels like being in nature where you get away from everything, get away from the noise, get away from the distractions, get away from the city, and find a place where you can just get away from it all so that you can be quiet on the outside and let that help you to learn to, and then do your meditation, your breathing there, so that you can learn from the outside in. And then as you practice that, it will become familiar. Once it becomes familiar, then you can find a place at home that's away from everything, where you have private time, or personal space that you can do this with, even if it's 5 a.m. or whatever it is. It's better to do this at home in a busy life. It's better to do it first thing in the morning before you get busy, so you're not distracted and get carried away, because your mind you can get to the stillness faster right after, when you first wake up, if that's possible. That's the best time to do it. That bottom line is, and I do have an exercise I included in the new book. There's an exercise on the breathing, and there's a lot. It's a handbook in many ways. It's a workbook in many ways. There are some techniques in the book, and all of the books, actually, they all have stuff in them that's like this. But it's like, just find a way to be still, so and to breathe in, and just find a way to be still and just breathe it, and just focus on breathing it in. And don't worry about if it's working or not. That it can take a while to get the hang of it. It's not going to happen immediately if you're new to it. But the more you do it, the easier it gets and the more familiar it is. So basically, it's breathing. But you just, like, for example, let me just, eyes closed is best. Be aware of your surroundings before you do that. But eyes closed. I would say in this moment, I'm saying hands flat, hands down on your lap, on your legs, hands down. And just start slowly breathing in, very slowly. In through the nose is best. In through the nose very slowly. Inhale very slowly. Exhale very slowly out the mouth. And just keep going deeper with it. Repeat it. Breathe in slowly. Go deeper. Let go. Let it out. I am, and just be feeling or thinking, I am still. I am still. Or just I am. I am still. I did for years. and then just repeat it. It can take a long time, for however long it takes to feel connected. And there is a technique in the book, but I can tell you, I will email you a page. There's a book by Dwal, the Ascended Master. I took one out of there, and I use that as my personal technique. I will email. I don't want to break away right now. I will email. I will send the pages to you through the Facebook. The pages and the title of the book. It's one of the books by Dwal. But there are like 2 pages of a very simple technique that take you in and through, and that guides you into your purpose. And that take you, I find it personally very powerful. I started doing it in 94 when I was doing those books. That's when I started doing it. And then I added another thing at the end. But initially I just read it. And now I remember it. But it's very powerful for connecting to your soul, your consciousness, your place in the world, taking you into the I am, taking you into your deeper purpose and why you're here. It does all of that in 2 pages. It's very simple. I will send that to you to share. Maybe you could add that to this as a note. But bottom line, that's really what it comes down to. The more we do it, and then what happens is I do the routine. I don't just breathe, but I do the routine and done until I feel like. But okay, I'll tell you this. There are times when I'm really, really into the vibration, and just to know it's okay. Sometimes I might start shivering like this. I might start doing this. That's because I'm responding to the electricity going through my body, and it's normal. That means it's a very high vibration. Is what that means. It's a good thing. And so when I start doing this, I'm feeling a very high vibe. I'm not there right now because I was having a health problem. So I'm working my way back to it. So you go wherever you're at. And there are times when you may feel as you progress in the process, you may feel like your hands may want to move. Let them do it. It's fine. It's like when I was going through the awakening, or no, post-awakening, but going through the process, post-awakening, I was doing, and I didn't even know, I was doing spontaneous Tai Chi. I was just doing things a certain way, and it's like, and it felt like it was like Tai Chi. I don't know. But it's like the body just wants to move, and and the hands want to move the energy. Let them. It's okay. As long as the vibration feels good, it's cool. Just be yourself and do whatever's working, whatever works. The thing is, when starting out, I did attend some groups to get a feeling for it and how to do the breathing. But you can also I usually buy cassettes for this. Now there are other ways to get the information. I will also send you the names of a couple of people I use. Dick Sutphin I used. S-U-T-P-H-E-N, I used him. There was also a series of books that I could write down for you, and you can include those in your notes. Tapes are very helpful, or programs are very helpful to kind of get you in the rhythm and teach you how to do it. But once you know how, you don't need them anymore. You do your own routine. You do your own thing. So I will share that with you. The name of Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East. I think it's actually Life and Teaching of the Masters of the Far East. Highly recommend. I always I'm just now kind of getting my teeth into writing screenplays. I'm halfway. I've done half of one. Had very good response to it by professionals, but I always thought I'd like to do the screenplay to that story. Maybe still nobody's done it, but it's a great story. Starts in India, goes to the Himalayas, and you meet the Ascended Masters. I mean, there's nothing better than that, and it's it really happened. This is by scientists, real scientists who did this, who went through this and wrote these, and this is their journals. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So things are more amazing than things are bigger and more than we have even imagined, is what I suspect. We are capable of so much. We have all of this inside of us. We all have the ability to tap into it. This I am sure of. This is the gift we have. It's an innate talent that we all have. We just have to know how to tap into it. And it really is just some practice is all it is. And breathing is free. Meditation is free. Mm-hmm. You don't need anybody to do it for you. One class and you're done. Okay? People don't need to pay a fortune to learn how to do this. It's very simple. So that's why I did teach classes early on. I was led to a fantastic apartment once that I really liked. And the night before I dreamed about it, and I was teaching classes in that space, and there were angels in that room. And I taught a lot of classes during that period. Now I'm putting it all in books because there is so much to do. And it's all there. So basically, we do the work ourselves, and we do the work ourselves. And other people are our guides. But we are the only ones who can do the wake up. We're the ones who wake up. But other people can show us the way.
Well, thanks for being on today. It was a pleasure to have you.
I loved this. I would love to do this anytime if you have other ideas.